Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Therapeutic Edge. I have got something new from the folks at Bestech, man. Bestech has created a new budget line, in case you missed the first Bestech, man. This is the Ronan. It's got their B lock, which is just a bar lock, Axis style lock. Very nice, though, if I don't screw it up on the flip. The first Bestech, man, was an okay knife, but this one, I like it. I mean, it's not the greatest thing ever anywhere, but it sure is a nice knife. I particularly like the blade shape on this, right? And it is really lean behind the edge. This is a nice slicer. Now, this came to me from Dirk Warning. Thank you, Dirk. I really appreciate you, man. This is Bestech's new budget line, Bestech, man. But this is just a well-sorted cutting tool. And the B-lock is, well, like all Axis style locks, it's one of my favorites. This one's got good edge, good retention, I should say. It feels very stiff. And so, you know, it's got good detent because of it. It's just a well done and well sorted knife. Let's take a look what you get, shall we? You get 14C28N blade steel. You get steel liners, G10 scales. This comes in a bunch of different colors. It's got a lanyard tube back here out of the way. It's got a really nice deep carry pocket clip with countersunk screws. Steel clip, but still very nice. It's got the Bestech Man pivot, which is a thing they do, I guess. I don't know. It says Bestech Man on the blade here, but not enormously, right? It's not terrible. And this side's got almost no billboarding at all. It just says 14C28N right there, back there. It's very nice. Overall, just as a daily carry and cutter, this is an excellent tool. And again, it's not the best knife in the world, but it is very good. And they're about $52, which is pretty good for Bestech made quality. It is very snappy, and I like that. The steel liners are chamfered, knocked down, I should say. There's no sharp edges, even on the clip here, anywhere except where you want it, which is right here. And it is very slicey, as I said. It's a kind of a dark stone wash. The thumb studs are out of the way mostly of the cutting path, or enough that it wasn't an issue when I was doing my test cutting, which is nice. Carries very well. So let's get some specs out of the way. Looks like you get we're going to call it 3 1/8 inches of cutting on 3 1/2 inches of 14C28N, the grip area from behind that swell. Coming in at 3 3/4, which is just perfect for me, right? Overall, the knife from tip to tail comes in just shy of 8 inches. We're looking at 7 7/8, right? Closed length, a little over 4 1/2, right at 4 1/2. And of course, the in the pocket is relatively nice. Now it's a little tall this way, but there's no flipper, right? So it doesn't bang into anything in the pocket. So you were looking at just shy 1 inch and 1, 2, 3, yeah, just shy of 1.5 inches. Yeah, 1 inch and 3/8. Yeah, 1 inch and 3/8. It's cool. Much cooler than the first Bestech, man. I didn't like that. I mean, it was a good knife, but this is interesting in a number of cool ways. Let's do some size comparisons with knives you may be more familiar with. Speaking of knives with a Axis lock, here it is against a full-size Griptilian. Grip's a little bigger, as you can see, but not much. You get a little more cutting, but these are very similar in the pocket, which I think helps many of you. Here it is against the PM2. Right, now the PM2, of course, knocking things around, has a little less cutting surface, but a lot more handle, which that's sort of the Spyderco way. Where'd you go? There you are. Excuse my arm. Here we go against the bug out. As you can see, the Ronan here, and that's R-O-N-A-N, not Nin, Ronan, is a little bit bigger than the bug out, although you get just about 1/8 of an inch more cutting on the Ronan. And then finally here it is against the Para 3, which the Ronan is just much bigger. I like stuff like this, and I'm glad Bestech's doing it. I said this in my first Bestech Man review. Bestech Man is a terrible name. It just is. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. And yet they're making good knives. I mean, that's what Bestech does, right? So nothing wrong with it. The action on this is really good. Very snappy, very positive. It's very nice. I love the shape of the blade, right? It's chamfered through here, so it thins out, and then it widens out up here at the tip. It's got a nice tip on it. There we go. There we're centered. It's got a nice tip on it. It's pokey without being really fragile, so if you needed to give something a little bit of a prod, you could. It's excellent for close to the table cutting because it's got a lot of belly up here at the front. Got a nice sharpening like choil back here. It's not, I can't get my finger in there, but you might, so don't. But it is still really nicely done. So it's a little bit forward of the plunge. There's no smile on this one. I will say that because of the way this is shaped, this part right here, you are kind of far back from the blade. You know, on the Benchmade, see the difference? My finger ends here and the blade is like right there, right? So when you're cutting, your hand feels right up against the medium. On this, when you're cutting, you're a ways back from it. Now, that's not going to bother most people. It's just something I noticed. It's got a G10 backspacer that matches the scales, by the way. It's got a little bit of jimping right here on the blade. My thumb misses the jimping. Like if I hold it like this and squeeze really tight, I can do it. But for my normal grip, I miss the jimping. Just something to be aware of. Let's go ahead and weigh the Ronan. Crappy magic scale. There we go. Ronan's going to weigh in at 4.3 ounces, which is a bit above that ounce per inch that the really hardcore EDCers like, but still, it's not that heavy. Coming in at 123 grams. Well, so how much does the grip weigh? So the grip's a little lighter. I think this has got heavier steel liners, right? So there's that. And let's see. Zero that out. Back here at the thickest point, so they're giving you a little over 3.5 millimeters of that 14C. The stonewash on this means it's not going to show wear as easily as it would if it was high polish or something. It is really thin behind the edge. They did do a really good job there. Overall, if I was going to spend $50 on a knife, I would absolutely consider this. I wouldn't get OD green. I'd get one of the black ones, but that's just me. But it's a good knife. I mean, it's okay. Is it a great knife? Maybe, if you really like the style, but it certainly is a good knife. And at $50, it's absolutely competitive. I will post a link to the various sources where I found it in the description below. If you've been considering one, I would. This is absolutely better than the first one we had. I love the blade shape on. I do legitimately love the blade shape on the Ronan here, and it's very comfortable. It's got some swells to it that kind of tell your hand where to go, but it's not going to force your hand into a particular grip. By way of example, I mean it's much smaller, but I hate the Rat 2. I know everybody loves it, but my hands and this knife do not get along at all. There is no particularly comfortable place for my hand on this knife because of the way they try to force you into a particular grip. This has similar lines, but it's fairly neutral in the back, and so it just gives you a really nice and sort of positive feeling grip without being like, without trying to force your hand into a particular spot. Yeah, this is good stuff. Thank you again, Dirk Warning, for giving me the opportunity to take a look at this. I really appreciate it. There'll be a link to where you might find one on your own if you want to down in the description. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next time.